fucked it the second time. Not your fault. Third time, you're like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going again. And like, you know, like, and I mean, I said this to my boss before. She was like, she has it as well. Well, she had it. I don't know if she does actually, but I mean, I feel like she did. But you know, like, that's why I said yes to the job actually. That, and they paid me a lot of money, and like it was great. I really miss my Romanians. Anyway, the point is though that I'm going to see them all. Anyway, the point is that, you know, like, said to her, I was like, she was having a rough time, and I was like, look, ADHD, mate, we don't go down.
No,
we do not go down, because you get hit enough times and people don't see it, people don't appreciate it.
I wrote something semi-decent on that.
You did?
In my, like, in our...
I think I probably got it from
Can I bring it up?
Yeah, of course you can.
I said my parents always called me resilient. It was a word they often used, but even before we knew I had ADHD, I had so many knocks getting to where I am in my career, and I know I'll have plenty more, yet somehow, thankfully, I keep bouncing back. Occasionally I need a bit of time to lick my wounds, but I get back most times with the support of my parents. But these knockbacks mean resilience, and resilience is something special. Teaches us to pick ourselves up, learn from our mistakes, be more determined, overcome our struggles. And I can thank my ADHD and my parents for that. I believe that ADHD makes us resilient. It isn't a quality everyone possesses, and I think I took that for granted before my diagnosis. I hadn't acknowledged that I had a certain strength only gained from pushing through despite struggling with symptoms of ADHD, and combine that resilience with the wonderful qualities of ADHD that it has to offer: the compassion, the sparkle, the energy, the creativity, the superpowers. In addition to the drive and passion to want to do something like surgery or any other career, then nothing can stop you.
Yeah,
and I do think it makes you resilient, because you do have knockbacks.
You have no choice.
And with things like rejection sensitive dysphoria,
fuck yeah,
which I only learned about
myself to. It's so hard. In the moment, I went on a date once with this girl, and she wasn't all that. She was like, well, she was well, clearly not. Otherwise, yeah. You know, but I went all the way to Windsor to see her. It was like a 3/4 of an hour ride on a motorbike, and you know, then she, you know, to go to a pub that was down her road, literally next to her work. And I was like, could have gone halfway. You know where I'm from. Yeah. So she wasn't necessarily a keeper, but then she just kind of decided halfway through, maybe, you know, I wasn't for her, whatever. But she still egged me on to go to a second date. And I was like, all right, well, I'll pay for this lot. I paid like 90 quid or something like that for the meal and whatever, the wine and everything. But the point is that I'm trying to get to is that afterwards, she was like, no, I'm not really feeling the second date. And I was like, all right, well, cool. If you want to send me half the money, then that'd be great. You know, oh, now you've changed your tune. I'm like, oh, you started it. This is why I'm not really look back at her too fondly. I mean, she was all right, I suppose. Sorry, mate. He's like, oh, here we go again. Les's love life. But no, the thing is, so that one of the things I realised was that actually at first I felt rejected by it, but it took me a lot less time to get over the idea that, you know, maybe this person who I'd been talking to for about 3 weeks, you know, wasn't into me, and just fine, fuck it. Yeah. You know, like, I mean, the words fuck it do, you know, but I think that before I knew about RSD, I would have kind of taken it so personally about what's wrong with me.
Oh yeah, RSD is a huge thing.
What's terrible about me, and I just thought about it. I was like, well, fuck you, actually.
Have you discussed RSD before? Do we need to explain what RSD is?
I have no idea what that
means.
So
rejection sensitive dysphoria. It's essentially people with ADHD tend to suffer from it, and it's like and it's essentially like a physical pain from either a real or perceived rejection. And it can affect you.
It can be quite traumatic.
Yeah, it can be really traumatic.
It's very difficult.
And
I think that's why my ex-girlfriend. Sorry, I don't know if you keep bringing up exes, but the one.
But that it has a huge
the one who made
impact
a
on
major
relationships
attack against me.
Yeah.
The compassion that I feel for her is because of that, and it was wrong because I wasn't rejecting her. I really didn't. I'd never hurt like that. That was all, and I just needed space for myself to kind of come to terms with what was going on because I had no control over that relationship anymore. And that for me was the hardest part. But I think that her RSD and my RSD conflicted, and we ended up in this horrible situation. And it makes everything worse, though, because especially if you've got two ADHD. This is why ADHD relationships are fantastic, but also fucking horrible breakups. Dear God. Oof. Oh, it gets vicious. It's like, yeah. Ugh. I still have to have my revenge. It's still my turn. I know exactly how I did.
No.
Yeah, go on.
But RSD it's when I realised there was that link, I tried to change my sort of way of handling it. So even, you know, sometimes I remember she was then one of my colleagues, she's now become one of my best friends. I remember the first time I asked her, have I done anything wrong? Because I'd convinced myself. You always
think that it's you that's wrong as well.
I'd convinced myself that I'd really messed up that day at work, that I couldn't pinpoint why I thought that. And I remember saying, like, have I messed up? Have I done something wrong? And she turned to me, she's like, Holly, you were like my angel today. You were great. Well, why are you thinking that? And I said, well, I've got these thoughts in my head.
It's hard to
And I said, can I just ask? Because otherwise I will ruminate on this for hours.
And it sounds like you're looking for assurance when actually you're not. You're just asking for someone to say, no, you're fine, mate.
And then I could explain to her, I was like, look, there is this association. So I might occasionally ask, and she was like, please don't even think about it. And interestingly, I had brunch with her the other weekend, and
turns out you're the best one she's ever had or something.
No, she actually became my next door neighbor for a bit. I know, I love her. I love her so much. And she
girls' night.
Oh yes, and she I was like walking down the stairs ready to go to brunch, and I was like, look, I'm putting it out there. I've been off my medication, and it's like she read my mind, and she's like, oh, that's great. She's like, I love you as you are. You bring me so much energy.
Hard to hear
and
well.
And I was like, oh well, I loved it because I was like, I'm worried about. She's like, she literally took the words out of my mouth. She's like, you're not too much.
Oh,
you're not annoying.
Yeah, I get that sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, my girlfriend sometimes says you're being too much, and then we have to have a day away. I'm like, oh.
Yeah. But she just straight away said, you're not too much. You're not annoying. She's like, I love it because you bring me an energy that makes me feel energetic.
Yeah.
She's like, I love you as you are. And
we bring in that buzz, but then sometimes I think a lot of people kind of feel a bit exhausted, but they don't see that we get exhausted as well.
It was nice having a friend who understood.
Exactly.
And she just got it, and I felt so relieved. And I think again, I cried on the phone to my mum, just kind of being like, Rosie got it, and she just made me feel so comfortable in myself.
It's little things like that.
Yeah,
like that's how I feel with my girlfriend, for example. I never told her for about the first 3 weeks.
Yeah,
until we were in Rye, and this goose went overhead, and I was like, oh look, a goose. And it was such a pigeon moment, and she goes, what have you got, ADHD or something like that? And I was like,
about that.
Yeah. Funny story, babe. We're gonna have to go for a coffee now, but maybe I should just have a decaf.
Yeah. I can't have caffeinated
drinks. The first thing she said when we sat down was, she goes, where do I read more about this?
Yeah.
I nearly cried. I was like, I was looking at her and I was like, I'm gonna keep you.
Yeah.
You're a keeper. Straight away, it was just like, what a woman. I was just like, and she bought us coffee. She bought us a couple of little bits and bobs.
She's a keeper.
I
want to meet her. She sounds great.
She's lovely. Yeah, she doesn't get
keep
it.
Her.
She still doesn't get it sometimes. I still get called annoying, but
So when she met you, what was that like then? What is it like for you as well? Also, meeting people, because I know when I met Les.
Oh God, here we go. He makes me sound like a racist.
It was very interesting meeting Les.
I can imagine.
It took me about 2 months to actually like Les.
Did it have?
I didn't like him in the first couple of months.
I think a lot of it. I think it's worse for men. I'm sorry.
It is.
Saying that, but women are better at masking.
Yeah, no, but also girls are. It's more socially acceptable for you to be affectionate in the way that we are as well.
Because we are
overly
affectionate.
If a girl bounces up and says, "Hi, how are you?"
Yeah.
Everyone's like, "Oh, you're really cute. You're great. Oh yeah, I'm gonna try and fuck you." But blokes, if we do that, we're fucked. Like we're just like, who's this guy? He's a creepy.
If you're overly familiar, it's different.
Yeah, and I'll be honest.
Honestly,
it's only because I lived with him for a year.
But we make really good comedians.
Yeah. It's only because I lived with him for a year. I was like, let me get to know him.
Yeah.
If I
got high together for a year, it was great.
Mom.
No one heard that.
Yeah, you didn't hear that. But it's only because I lived with him for a year. I'm like, let me make the effort to get to know him. But there's other people I met that with ADHD that I didn't know about ADHD.
Who else had it?
Like people in school clearly had
it.
When I think back on it now,
ashamed to say that I really struggled with other ADHD people before I knew I had ADHD, and I'd be like, oh my gosh, they're a bit much. And then I was like...
Yeah, I had that with a friend of mine. I was a bit like... the worst part is you can see your own... Why other people find you...
I had this guy with ADHD in my phone class. I didn't give him the time of day. I was just like, you're annoying. I'm just going to ignore you.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. And
I bet he went home every night and thought about it as well.
Yeah.
No, I don't think he cared.
Feel bad.
But now when I think back on it, I'm like, maybe I should have given him the time. He might have been a nice person.
And that's
I get that a lot.
Yeah.
I hear that a lot. I hear a lot of that kind of like... at first I thought you were a prick, but now actually you're a really, really amazing bloke or whatever. And it's like, well, they don't say it in those words, but it's kind of the gist.
And I think there's just such a stigma around ADHD or any neurodivergent diagnosis. And it really frustrates me.
It dehumanizes you. I mean, one of the things that gets me is the fact that I think that sometimes about the drugs and stuff, I mean, I know that it helps us as a tool. I look at it as a tool. So I'll take it when I need to. If I know I've got a lot of work on that day, I'll take the drugs. But it's the fact that in order to be socially acceptable, I have to take a chemical that is going to make me piss like a racehorse. It's going to dehydrate my body. It's got, I mean, for example, I haven't put on any weight, even though I eat shite sometimes, and I can eat whatever I like, which is amazing. But at the same time, it's like, but actually I'm taking something that's potentially damaging my body more than, say, cannabis would. Or, I mean, as much as alcohol might, speaking of alcohol, Sneaky.
With a big smile
you can't
again.
get past me, young man. But like, well, you can, but because he's bigger than me.
Yeah, I would mess with him.
Yeah, I mean, like,
Don't do it.
I have a few times. I tell you what, I was genuinely scared enough to run away from the club.
Yeah, big mistake.
Yeah, and you do not want to get in the way of Marlon, which is why he was my bodyguard at uni. It was really quite cute.
You're a good friend.
I'd go to the bar and I'd be chatting to people. I think we've told this story before, but just to give it in brief, I go to the bar just to be, I'm like, I'll just chat to anyone who's walking around me.
Yeah.
At the front of the bar, chat to a girl next to me. The boyfriend looks over, gets aggy, meow. And all of a sudden he's trying to start a fight on me because he thinks I'm trying to trap his girlfriend.
But actually we're just friendly and we just like to chat to everyone.
Faster than he can. And now she's flirting with me and I'm just me flirting anyway. It probably was flirting, to be honest. And but then all of a sudden Marlon would just I'd be buying a pint for Marlon anyway because we take it in turns. And all of a sudden Marlon would loom over the entire crowd like, is there a problem? And apparently not. All of a sudden, I'm perfectly happy.
I didn't actually say that. I'm like, have you got my pint?
Yeah, and he'd look at the guy, and I'd be like, I'm kind of in the middle of something, Marlon. And and this guy would be like, at the point where they're about to take the top off and really try and be an idiot, but proper monkey. And and then Marlon just stands there. I was like, and when he looks at Marlon, I look at him, and then all of a sudden the other lads would show up, and I look like the little guy in the mafia. Because
the funny thing, I didn't realize any of this was happening. I was just like,
you were just like, I just want my pint. Yeah, thank you very much.
I didn't even know I was in a fight until the guy took his top off. I was a bit like, no, I was just chatting to her. What's the problem? It was so.
You know what? Yeah, I have a memory, and I'm pretty sure it must be Eddie Hall from that big guy. I remember there was a
work out near us. Yeah.
He's a big
built like he's the world's strongest man for 3
years. World's strongest man. He's big
motherfucker.
And then Lev was getting into an issue with him, and I was just like,
yeah.
I was like,
it was my fault.
And we were there, and the guy was looking at us, and I'm like, this guy is big. I'm like, I'm not helping you if he attacks you.
There's me like, Marlon! But no, that was it. He had 55 kg in each hand, and he's doing a bench. And
this is in a bar.
Was it a bar?
Yeah, this is
all right.
Because
I remember when he growled at me at the gym. I don't remember the bar bit probably because I was pissed. But he was at the gym, and he's like 55 in each hand. He goes, What's? This guy is literally benching 110 kilograms, and I couldn't help and he sits up. He's like, and I couldn't help myself. I was like, Mazel tov, it's a boy, and he just looked at me and growled, and I was like, time to go. Time to go. But it's that impulsive, I can't help it.
There is an impulsivity, and I do think there's also a difference in the experience of men who have ADHD and women who have ADHD. Like you said, I can chat away to people, and people think of it differently than you.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Even today, I was asked to chat away to a patient because the local anaesthetic wasn't doing as great a job as it should have. So I could keep him chatting because I can chat. For England,
of course,
and
and
I can pick up, about the different tattoos and ask him to talk about that and about the, these little things.
I have so many questions about you.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm going to talk about myself for most of it, but still,
I will. But it's then quite a different experience, I think, and there's just so much stigma, and it really upsets me. And I think I've been really lucky because because I've been
and a surgeon. I mean, come on.
But also, I've been diagnosed late, so I've not had as much pushback as other people. And people have asked me if they thought I would have wanted to be diagnosed earlier, and I don't know because I think if I had been diagnosed as a kid, when I was struggling to get my grades to get into medicine, I might have then said, you know what, I have ADHD, I have dyslexia, it's just not meant for me.
You wouldn't have been quite as tenacious about it.
But then again, the other side of it is that maybe having had those diagnoses, I would have had the help I needed earlier.
You'd have had
maybe
drugs in there.
And I don't know.
We grew up in the 90s as well. It wasn't as sympathetic as things are now.
No. But I mean, I know that, for example, for me, one of my ones was that I was at Keele and I answered the same question, 2 questions from one side of the paper, and I didn't realise it was the second side until after the exam. I wrote to them and was like, look, I don't know why that's happened, but I made a mistake, and they wouldn't, and I only got half the grade even though I'd answered 2 questions perfectly, and I got 50% because one of them was 100% fantastic, and they just discounted the second one. But had I known that I'd had ADHD, I'd have been able to say, look, I've got ADHD, this is what's happened, and they probably would have been a lot more sympathetic, and they would have probably changed it and said, yeah, that's fine, but I probably should write to them and ask about that. But but I'll do it tomorrow.
But it really frustrates me, the stigma, and I'm working on a project.
Hello.
But I'm not going to tell you about it now.
It's a yes.
because otherwise I'll get that false dopamine of like when you say that you're doing something and then it's like, so you have to be careful.
Don't tell people you're going to the gym either.
Yeah, no, exactly, because then you're like, oh yeah, it's like I've been now, so I'm great, I'm happy, done. I did that last weekend.
I'd lie to my girlfriend about it all the time.
Yeah, I did not go to the gym. But I have a project and it's something I'm trying to get off the ground.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping it helps with the stigma of ADHD or neurodivergent. You can play. And then if it goes to plan, maybe you'll allow me back again and I can talk about it.
100% yes.
Definitely.
Yeah? 100%. Yeah, you could. One of the coolest people we've ever had on here.
No, I'm really not.
No, you definitely are.
No, you definitely are. Honestly.
I'm here like playing with
you haven't watched our podcast.
You have not. No, I mean, like, we are very, very, I mean, when it comes to guests, we're not getting any A-listers in just yet.
To be fair, we haven't had that many guests. We're not going to shit on our guests. We have some great guests we had
good people.
Dr. Lou, we've got Taro, legends. But I mean, we have run it. How many guests? Probably 4 guests.
4 guests, yeah, maybe.
Well, I feel very honoured, and I'm kicking off third season.
Yeah, so we're not shitting on our guests. We haven't had many.
Thank you.
Yeah,
we don't know.
Yeah, we don't
but
know.
You know,
well, we already did.
Yeah.
Love you, Lou.
We love Dr. Lou. I love Dr. Lou. Thank you.
Dr. Lou is a great person.
Yeah.
She is.
No, she really is.
And to be fair,
We've got to stop making it sound like we're being sarcastic.
No, because I absolutely love Dr. Lou.
I remember Puppygate. That's why. Like Puppygate.
But shout out Dr. Lou.
Yep. Go on.
We love. But yes, I am very passionate about changing the stigma and creating more equal opportunities.
It's a bit like
and support for neurodivergent.
Because it's like what I was saying before, like when I introduced you, it was like about how the head of psychology today said that you shouldn't exist.
I told that to one of my colleagues the other day, and they couldn't believe it. Yeah. And because it's impossible for a female surgeon to with ADHD and dyslexia to reach this point in their career.
I didn't say dyslexia to her as well. She was just like, it's impossible. It's like, well, yeah, but you guys don't half write a lot of trash. You know, like, how is this not publishable if I've got her on?
But again, I've taken from that. That's made me even.
I mean, you were definitely special. There's no doubt about it, but not in a sort of like cotton wool kind of way. But genuinely,
it's made me more determined to try and make a difference, and that's what I see every one of these pushbacks.
Yeah.
So whether it's my last hospital, exactly, and it makes me more vocal because I think we need to work on that stigma. We need to create better support for people with neurodivergent diagnoses.